Hi there, this is Chris O'Brien, and this is a video about Microsoft Syntex. And this is the first of a couple of videos of mine about Syntex, and you can find the others on my YouTube channel. And Syntex is an AI technology in Microsoft 365 that helps you unlock information from your documents, because Syntex has unique AI capabilities in this sense. So even in the era of ChatGPT and Microsoft 365 co-pilots, Syntex is quite unique because it's built into Microsoft 365 and SharePoint. It can identify your documents, almost read them like a human can, and it can pull out the key information. We're using it in a few places in our business, and this is really relevant, we think, because the world revolves around documents when you think about it. And in so much of the business world and the processes we operate, there's a document at the heart of this, and there are so many different forms of document, obviously. And our business is no different. But what's interesting is we tend to treat them all the same. You know, they all live in Microsoft 365 or another document management system. Every document, whether it's a CV or an invoice or a purchase order, is in there, and we don't always treat them very differently. And information gets buried in them. So while documents are a wonderful invention and they're portable information that we can exchange across organizational boundaries, information does tend to get locked away in them, and the key facts could be on page 37 of a document that's somewhere in SharePoint. And we use them so much as part of a process, and everywhere you think of a process, there's typically a document involved. And generally we spend so much time working with documents in one form or another. And as we come into the AI era, Syntex has some unique capabilities that help us kind of get more from our documents and processes. And what happens is we train a Syntex AI model, and it's relatively simple. There is a learning curve, certainly, but it's not high-end data science or machine learning. And once the model is trained, Syntex can identify particular document types, but also read them like a human can, in a sense, and it can go and find certain information. So in this example, we train it to find the fees and payment section, except sometimes that might have a different name, like costs or investment. And then we train it to go and find a table and look for the bottom row, which is probably labeled total. And then if we go and find a currency amount over to the right, you know, that's an important value in this context. Okay, so that should set some context. Let's launch into the demo. So here's a statement of work document. I've redacted the client name. It's a real document from our business. It describes the project that we're going to execute and how we're going to do it. And you can see that it has some headings. It has a particular structure. There's quite a lot in here that describes the project. Now, the key thing to take away is that if I go into another one of these documents, it's still a statement of work. It's got many of the same sections, but it's different. Although we give people a template for these documents, they need to describe different things. Some projects are very small. The document might only be 6 pages. Some could be an entire transformation program of 6 months of work, so that could be 60 pages. So key thing, the documents have some similarity, but ultimately people go off-piste from the template. They need to change section headings. They introduce new sections. This is Fresh, our intranet product that sits in Microsoft 365. It gives me quick access to my tasks, my calendar. It's how I start my day. Behind here, we have a library with Syntex enabled. And if I drag in those 10 or so statement of work documents into this SharePoint area behind Fresh, what you'll see is that Syntex starts to read these documents. And you see this grey bar at the top, and the message is small, but it's basically saying that we're analysing your files and you'll see extracted information soon. And you can now see some columns. Notice also that each document, the content type, that second column, is just document. You know, it's the same as anything else that's in the Microsoft 365 tenant. And now what we should see is that Syntex has read those documents. It's identified them as a CNC statement of work. We've got this visual that helps us understand the size of the project, the value. And we've got this bar that helps us understand the big ones, see the small ones. And what we also have done is we've pulled out the business manager, we've pulled out the exec sponsor, And what we're starting to do at our business is use Syntex on a weekly call where everybody drags in their draft statements of work. So the head of project management, he can see what's coming through the pipeline. And in this case, he'd say, well, I can see that we've got 2 documents that didn't have a project manager assigned yet. What do I need to do to unblock that? What action do I need to take? And so Syntex is able to read the documents like a human can. It's pulling out particular bits that we've trained the AI model for, but it's also identifying gaps. And we think that there's real power in this. It's not just about identifying that this is a statement of work, although that's actually valuable. We can start to build search tools and understand what documents are where in our tenant, because we store these in different project sites. They're dispersed through the tenant. So we've identified that it's a statement of work which is valuable, and we've pulled some information out which is certainly more valuable, but we've also accelerated our process. So Tony, our head of PM, he can close those gaps. He can see what needs to be done to allocate a project manager, get this document over to the client for signature, and then get the project started. So really, Syntex is allowing us to go faster, to accelerate our work, and we're able to read all these documents in a time frame that humans could not. So for us, it's all about accelerating the process. This is just one example of Syntex where it's really about classifying the document and extracting certain parts, the valuable information, so that we have a real sense of what's going through our project pipeline. But hopefully, if you think about the raw ingredients there, you can see the potential for applying this in different cases. Anything where it's valuable to understand what's inside your documents because they're used in some kind of process. And what you want to do is automate part of that process or accelerate it. That's really where Syntex excels. All right. Thank you for listening, and please see the other videos in my channel for more on Microsoft Syntex.